Okay, so if you're listening right now, chances are you're probably, well, you're ambitious, right? A high achiever.
Definitely. Someone who handles complexity, maybe runs teams, manages big budgets, crushes goals at work. You operate with strategy.
Exactly. Structure and strategy are your go-to. But then you walk through your own front door.
Ah, yes. The front door phenomenon.
Yeah, and suddenly it's, a forgotten math book or a total sibling meltdown over who touched whose Lego.
And all that professional cool just evaporates.
Yeah, you find yourself becoming the very thing you try to eliminate at work. Reactive, frazzled, maybe a bit of an anxious mess.
It's a huge paradox, isn't it? For
Right.
high performers especially. You become this exhausted, self-sacrificing good parent.
Holding everything together, the calendar, the homework, the emotional temperature of the whole house.
It's this impossible standard we hold ourselves to, believing that more effort, more sacrifice, somehow equals more love.
And that feeling, that constant exhaustion, the anxiety driving you to do more.
That's the signal. That's proof. The system you've bought into is, well, fundamentally broken.
We've been sold a story, haven't we? A pretty toxic myth, actually, that real love, authentic parenting, requires self-sacrifice.
That being a good parent means putting yourself absolutely last, by definition.
But the sources we looked at, they are just crystal clear on this, and it's a tough pill to swallow sometimes.
It really is. The harsh truth, martyrdom is not love. It's dysfunction, plain and simple.
It's not a sustainable operating model, not for leadership, not a home.
Right. You don't get a gold medal for running yourself into the ground trying to manage every single detail.
No, you just become volatile, impatient.
And crucially, you become incapable of providing the one thing your kids actually need most from you.
Which is?
A stable anchor. That calm presence.
So today we're diving deep, really deep into let's call it a radical approach. It's neuroscience based.
And it basically tells you to stop trying so damn hard.
Yeah, we're looking at the strategic philosophy that says, maybe controversially, that the road to raising, well, weak children
Is paved with the parents' best intentions and their decision to overfunction, to do too much.
So this deep dive, it's about rewiring that internal script. It's for high achievers who want peace at home but are stuck in that cycle.
Our mission really is to help you shift. Shift from being that frazzled manager
Chasing compliance, trying to modify behavior minute by minute.
to becoming a strategic leader in your family. What we're calling the family strategist.
And the goal isn't perfect, kids. It's about cultivating capability, resilience in them.
By first cultivating peace and strategy in yourself. It's a powerful promise, actually.
Peace in you creates peace in your household.
Exactly. And this isn't about quick fixes or parenting hacks. This is deep rewiring work. It's rooted in biology.
Okay, let's get into that biology then. The neuroscience of all this household chaos. Where do we start?
Let's start with something fundamental, the head regulator concept.
The head regulator. Okay.
Every single home has one, without exception. This is the person whose nervous system basically acts as the emotional anchor for the entire family.
So like the nervous system CEO, they're setting the emotional thermostat without even saying a word.
Precisely. Their physiological state dictates the feeling in the room, the energy.
Wow, that's heavy. Because it means, most parents probably assume they are the regulator, right? By default.
They do. But here's the catch. If you don't consciously claim that role and actively manage your own state,
Someone else steps in.
often, yes, a child, usually the most sensitive one or maybe the most anxious one, will unconsciously try to fill that vacuum.
And I'm guessing that doesn't end well.
Chaos. It's the inevitable result when a child tries to regulate the household.
Why? Because they just don't have the tools.
Exactly. They lack the developmental ability, the mature prefrontal cortex. So they resort to what they can do.
Yeah.
High-intensity emotions.
Meltdowns, drama, defiance. Trying to force a reaction, trying to find some kind of anchor point, even a negative one.
You got it. They're trying to force predictability when the main regulator is unpredictable or dysregulated.
But when the parent, the actual head regulator, consciously steadies their own ship.
The whole house naturally recalibrates. It follows the leader's nervous system.
Okay, so this isn't just like a metaphor, it's actual science.
It's biology. Think mirror neurons. Co-regulation.
Right, co-regulation. For our listeners, maybe the high achievers, think of it less like a fluffy term.
And more like a biological system running on autosync.
Yeah. Co-regulation is just the scientific term for how one person's nervous system can literally help regulate another's internal state. Like borrowing calm.
That's a perfect way to put it. This is Neuro Awareness 101. Until they're about, what, 25? give or take.
Yeah, the prefrontal cortex, the logical, planning, calming part of the brain, is still under construction.
So they are biologically wired, compelled even, to borrow your nervous system for safety and stability.
Which means if my alarm bells are ringing because I'm stressed, rushing, worrying.
Their brain doesn't distinguish. It interprets your internal chaos as a genuine external threat. Your stress literally becomes their stress.
And their systems flood with cortisol, the stress hormone. Your panic becomes their panic.
Which leads us right into the anxiety trap. This is huge.
Oh, we are so good at dressing up our anxiety, aren't we?
Masters of rebranding. We call it attentive care or being responsible.
I'm just reminding them about the jacket. I'm just double-checking the homework. I'm just stepping in so they don't fail the project.
But this anxious parenting, it's fundamentally flawed because what is it actually wiring in the child's brain?
Dependency, not capability.
Exactly. Your anxiety, even unspoken, carries this strong, compelling energy, and it sends a message. The world's too scary. You can't handle it alone. You need me to manage things for you.
So we're essentially robbing them of the small, necessary struggles that actually build grit. Resourcefulness.
Every single rescue, every time you step in, driven by your anxiety about their discomfort, it teaches weakness, disguised as love.
Can we break down that loop, the anxious parenting loop?
Yeah.
Because I think recognizing it is the first step.
Definitely. It's usually 4 steps. First, the trigger. You see a sign of difficulty, they look upset, they forgot something, they're struggling with a task.
Okay, trigger identified. Then what happens in the parent?
Step 2. The parent enters the catastrophic brain state. Your mind immediately jumps to the worst-case scenario. You'll fail the test. You'll have no friends. This is a disaster.
It feels very real in the moment, that catastrophe.
Oh, absolutely. And that triggers step 3, the immediate rescue reflex. It's almost involuntary, powered by your own deep discomfort with their struggle or potential failure.
You jump in to fix it, manage it, prevent the negative outcome.
And then comes the most damaging part, step 4, the unintended lesson. What does the child's brain actually learn from this?
Okay, I was struggling, maybe feeling overwhelmed, and poof, someone else fixed it perfectly.
Conclusion filed away. I guess I can't really handle life's bumps. But if I look upset enough or wait long enough, rescue always arrives.
That's learned helplessness. Wow. Disguised as a close family bond.
Precisely. It feels like connection, but it's actually fostering dependence.
So how do we break this? How do we actually operationalize the shift from being that anxious reactor to a calm, strategic regulator?
We need a practical tool. Something immediate. That's where the traffic light system comes in. It's your instant reality check before you open your mouth or take action.
Okay, traffic light. Red, yellow, green. Simple enough.
Simple but critical. You must know where your own nervous system is at before you engage. Let's start with red zone.
Red zone. That sounds like danger.
It is. This is the hijacked state. Your amygdala, the brain's smoke detector, has taken over. It's fight, flight, or freeze. Pure survival mode.
So yelling, shutting down completely, over-controlling every little thing, lecturing nonstop.
All classic red zone behaviors. And the rule here is ironclad, non-negotiable. Do not parent from red. Period.
Why? What happens if you do?
Your child's nervous system, those mirror neurons, will simply mirror your dysregulation. You pour gasoline on the fire, it always escalates.
Okay, so avoid red at all costs. What's yellow?
Yellow zone is the reactive state. This is the warning light. Tension is building. You can feel it. Your patience is wearing thin. Stress hormones are rising.
This is where you might start like over-explaining things. Or trying to negotiate a boundary that should be firm, getting sarcastic.
Exactly. You're not fully hijacked, but you're heading there. Yellow is your critical early warning. When you detect yellow.
Pause.
Mandatory micropause. Even just 60 seconds of silence. Deep breath. Step away if you need to. Anything to prevent hitting full red.
Got it. Prevent the surge. Which leaves us with the goal state.
Green zone, the regulated state. This is where your prefrontal cortex, the CEO, the strategist, the problem solver, is back online and in charge.
You feel grounded, present, maybe even a little curious about what's going on instead of instantly judging it.
That's it. Your responses from green are strategic, they're clear, they're calm, they're confident. This is the only zone from which you should be leading, setting boundaries, engaging.
So the takeaway here is huge. Your regulation isn't just about you feeling better.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Your regulation is their education. It's the modeling.
When you consciously step into that head regulator role, manage your state, get to green, You stop just reacting to chaos.
And you start leading the household like the strategist you actually are. From clarity, not chaos.
Okay, this makes so much sense physiologically. But to get to green, to stay there, we have to tackle the big obstacle.
Ah, yeah, the M word.
Martyrdom. That complex, the belief that constant, exhaustive service is somehow the path to connection. That you have to burn yourself out to be a good parent.
We need to dismantle that belief piece by piece.
Yeah.
Because let's be brutally honest.
Yeah.
You are not actually helping by overfunctioning.
It feels like helping in the moment, though.
Of course it does. But the sources, they often pinpoint the turning point for truly effective parenting, not as some grand philosophical insight, but as a moment of breaking.
Like physically and emotionally hitting a wall. I literally cannot keep doing all of this.
Exactly that. It was the point of collapse that forced a change. The moment the parents stopped rushing in to fix everything.
Yet it created a vacuum.
A necessary vacuum. One that the kids, perhaps reluctantly at first, had to start filling with their own abilities, however nascent.
Okay, so stopping the overfunctioning is key. And that brings us squarely to boundaries, doesn't it? Which feels related but different.
It's deeply related. This is where we hit the boundary paradox.
Paradox. How so? Most people hear boundaries and think walls, rejection, keeping people out.
Right. But in this strategic model, boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're about resource protection.
Protecting the resource, meaning protecting me, my energy, my sanity.
Precisely. Protecting the essential resource that fuels the entire family system. If you are constantly running on empty, your nervous system is shot. It's volatile.
And you can't bring that calm, green zone presence the family actually needs. You can't be the head regulator effectively.
Impossible. So we have to draw a really clear line here. Selfishness versus self-care.
Okay, define those in this context.
Selfishness is meeting your needs at the expense of your child's genuine needs, often tinged with guilt or neglect. Strategic self-care, however.
That's meeting your needs so that you can actually show up effectively for theirs, free of resentment.
Bingo. Burned-out parents cannot co-regulate. Period. They have zero reserves to offer. Self-care isn't indulgent. It's a strategic necessity for the head regulator.
This brings us to the DETACH framework we mentioned, specifically the C.
See? Create boundaries. These are the lines you consciously draw to protect your capacity to parent from that strategic green zone.
What kinds of boundaries are we talking about? It sounds maybe abstract.
Let's make it concrete. 3 critical types. First, mental boundaries.
Mental boundaries. Okay, what does that look like?
This is huge for high achievers, the natural planners and organizers.
Yeah.
You must stop being the external hard drive for everyone else's life.
Meaning, stop remembering their deadlines, stop planning their projects, stop organizing their backpacks and schedules.
Yes, that is their brain's job to learn. Their prefrontal cortex needs that workout.
If I'm the human alarm clock, the homework police, the lost and found department,
You are actively short-circuiting their executive function development. You're essentially telling their brain, don't bother developing time management, planning skills, or object permanence. Mom or dad's got this covered.
ouch. Okay, so guard your mental energy, use it for strategy, not constant surveillance and reminding.
Guard it like gold. Your focus is your power. Second boundary type, emotional boundaries.
This sounds harder. Refusing to carry their emotions.
Refusing to absorb or fix emotions, they're perfectly capable of handling themselves. Their disappointment over a canceled playdate, their frustration with a tricky puzzle, their boredom.
These feelings are not my 5-alarm fire demanding an immediate rescue mission.
Exactly. Your job isn't to make the feeling go away instantly. It's to offer presence without panic.
So sit with them in their discomfort, validate it, I see you're really frustrated, but not take it on as my own problem to solve immediately.
Precisely. You demonstrate that the feeling, even a tough one, is survivable, manageable. If you rush in to distract or fix every time,
You teach them that uncomfortable emotions are dangerous, things to be avoided at all costs.
which is a direct path to low emotional resilience down the road. Let them feel it. Let them learn to move through it with your calm presence nearby.
Okay, mental, emotional. What's the third?
Physical boundaries. This is about reclaiming time and space for your own physical and intellectual well-being.
Like actual time carved out for exercise, rest, hobbies, connecting with other adults, things that recharge you.
Yes. The sources mentioned a parent, constantly available, totally frazzled, who then deliberately started blocking out non-negotiable time for the gym, maybe seeing friends, things just for them.
And the fear is always the house will fall apart. It's selfish.
Right. But what actually happened? The opposite. When this parent started pouring back into themselves, physically and mentally.
They had more energy, sure, but it also sent a different message.
A powerful message. It signaled that their worth wasn't solely defined by nonstop parental service. That act of self-prioritization, weirdly, made the whole household function better.
Because the kids and maybe the other parent realized, we can manage without minute-to-minute input. The head regulator is recharging, and we're okay.
It shifted the dynamic. Relationships got lighter because the resentment wasn't simmering under the surface. That strategic selfishness actually strengthened the system.
So setting these boundaries, mental, emotional, physical, it all comes back to focus, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Distraction is the enemy of strategy. If you're scattered, constantly reacting, bleeding energy into every minor issue, you're just surviving. You're not leading.
That high achiever part of you needs to hear this.
Yeah.
Clarity requires strategic selfishness. Protect your resources to lead with intention.
Okay, so we've established the need for regulation and boundaries. Now let's get into some really counterintuitive stuff about connection.
Yeah, this next part might feel backward, especially for those of us, raised in families where service and sacrifice were maybe the main love languages.
Definitely feels backward. The idea that doing less for your kids could actually deepen the connection, it sounds wrong.
But you're saying, stop trying to force connection through constant service. Stop giving so much.
That's the provocative idea, yes. And we can look to psychology for some backing here, the Benjamin Franklin effect.
The Benjamin Franklin effect. Remind me.
The core idea, kind of counterintuitive, is that we tend to grow fonder of people not necessarily because they do things for us, but because we do things for them.
Hang on. Okay, let me push back slightly here. For the strategic listener, this could sound a bit manipulative, like we're engineering situations for our kids to like us more. Isn't authentic love just unconditional?
That's a really fair challenge.
Yeah.
And it's not about manipulation in a negative sense.
Yeah.
Think of it as leveraging psychological wiring to foster genuine contribution and belonging.
Okay. Unconditional love is the base, the foundation.
Absolutely non-negotiable foundation.
Yeah.
But contribution is like the glue that builds their sense of self-worth and belonging within the family unit.
So when you ask your kids for small, genuine favors, hey, can you grab me a pencil? Or what do you think? Should I wear the blue shirt or the red one? Insignificant stuff sometimes.
Or meaningful chores, things that genuinely contribute to the household running.
Yeah.
Their brain does something interesting. It resolves cognitive dissonance.
Meaning they think, okay, I just put in effort for this person, my parent. My brain doesn't like inconsistency, so I wouldn't do that for someone I dislike.
Therefore, I must actually like them. I must belong here. My contribution matters. It reinforces the bond from their side.
That's fascinating. So the lesson for breaking those martyr cycles is stop trying to buy connection with endless service.
Ask for contribution instead. It builds their capability, their sense of worth, and connection based on shared effort, not just parental depletion.
This focus on contribution, on them doing, it leads right into understanding strategic detachment, doesn't it?
Perfectly. And we need to be super clear. Detachment is not neglect. Neglect is absence. Detachment is presence, but a different kind of presence.
It's stability. Authority without the anxiety layered on top.
Exactly. It's guiding without micromanaging every single step of the process. It's being the calm, steady anchor in the middle of their emotional storm.
Instead of getting sucked into the whirlpool with them, it's love communicated through trust and stability, not through anxious hovering.
But wow, it is hard to do in practice. Stepping back, doing less, it feels wrong. Our instincts scream, protect, intervene.
Which brings us to the capability paradox.
Yes, doing less is often harder for the parent than doing more, but it's ultimately the more powerful leadership move. Why is that restraint so tough?
Because our brains are wired for threat detection. Their distress feels like our emergency.
Instantly. The second your child struggles with homework, with a social situation, with putting on their own damn shoes, your amygdala lights up. Danger. Fix it.
And that's the fixer trap. Every time you jump in, driven by that impulse.
You short-circuit their brain's own problem-solving machinery, specifically the prefrontal cortex, the boss.
The PFC need to solve the problem to really activate,
Yeah.
right? It needs to plan, strategize, execute.
If mom or dad always swoops in and executes the solution, the PFC basically learns, okay, I can stay offline for this kind of task. It doesn't get the reps.
So back to that core insight. Every rescue teaches weakness, disguised as love.
The less you control the process, the more capable and often more cooperative they become because they have to engage their own internal resources. There's no other option.
This leads us to the A in DETACH.
A, allow the struggle. This is crucial. Struggle isn't a sign of failure, it's the developmental gym.
You don't get stronger muscles by having someone else lift the weights for you.
Perfect analogy. We have to strategically protect the space for them to struggle. Not create struggle, but allow the naturally occurring struggles of life.
And when they wrestle with a challenge, cognitive, social, practical, what's happening in their brain?
Four critical things, usually.
Yeah.
1, their prefrontal cortex has to map out a plan. 2, their dopamine system rewards the effort and persistence, making them want to try again.
Okay, planning and reward.
3, they get vital stress inoculation. They learn, okay, this feels uncomfortable, but I survived. Discomfort isn't fatal. And 4, neuroplasticity. Their brain literally builds new, stronger pathways for grit and problem solving.
And if you rescue them too soon, too often,
You rob them of all 4 benefits. Those systems remain underdeveloped.
sometimes, though, the struggle leads to, well, failure. And maybe not just a little setback.
Sometimes it leads to spectacular failure. And we need to talk about why that's not always a bad thing.
Spectacular failure.
Love
Okay.
to.
We're not talking about letting them run into traffic, obviously. We mean letting the bigger, more memorable consequences land.
Exactly. The kind of failure that triggers neuroplasticity because it's emotionally significant. Some failures are just too valuable to prevent.
Why valuable? What makes them stick?
Neuroscientists talk about flashbulb memories. These are those incredibly vivid, detailed recollections of emotionally charged events. The brain flags them as, never forget this. This is important for survival or future planning.
Like remembering exactly where you were during a major world event.
Similar mechanism. The emotional weight makes the memory salient. For our high-achieving listeners, think about a major project failure at work. You probably did a detailed post-mortem, right? You learned deeply from it, precisely because it stung.
Okay, I see the parallel. So if I swoop in and rescue my kid from bombing the science project they procrastinated on, or forgetting their cleats for the big game.
You strip away the emotional weight. The
Yeah.
sting, the very thing that would make the lesson plan ahead, be responsible for your gear, actually stick in their long-term memory.
So failure is just feedback. It's data. It's not fatal.
Not fatal. Your role isn't to be the goalie blocking every consequence. It's to be the regulated anchor after the consequence lands.
Let the natural consequence happen. Let the emotional wave hit them, the disappointment, the frustration.
Let it settle. Then from your calm green zone space, you debrief. No, I told you so's. Just curiosity. Wow, that was tough. What happened there? What might you do differently next time?
That strategic, calm reflection after the failure, that's where the real deep learning embeds itself.
Absolutely. That's parenting as strategic leadership, not just damage control.
This all points towards a fundamental shift in how we view our kids, doesn't it?
It's the ultimate mindset shift, yes. And it ties directly back to that head regulator energy you bring. We have to move from fixer to believer.
Okay, fixer mindset versus believer mindset. Define those.
The fixer mindset operates from a core, often unconscious belief. The incompetence assumption.
The incompetence assumption, meaning deep down, I believe they actually can't handle this without me. They'll mess it up. They need my constant input, reminders, interventions.
Exactly. And guess what? That assumption becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you never give them the space to try and potentially fail, they never get the chance to prove that assumption wrong. They internalize your belief in their incompetence.
Wow. Okay, so the alternative.
The believer mindset. This operates from the capability assumption. The fundamental belief that your child is wired for growth, that they possess or can develop the resources to handle challenges.
This isn't just like blind optimism, is it? Oh, I'm sure they'll figure it out somehow.
Not blind hope, no. It's a strategic recognition of their developmental trajectory and potential. It's trusting the biology of growth.
So the communication is totally different. Fixer mode says loud and clear, you can't handle this on your own.
Which leads directly to dependence,
Yeah.
low self-worth, anxiety.
Whereas believer mode communicates, maybe implicitly, I have faith you can figure this out. Struggle is part of how we learn. I'm here if you get truly stuck, but I believe in your ability to try first.
And that leads to competence,
Yeah.
resilience, authentic self-confidence.
That shift in assumption from incompetence to capability feels revolutionary because the brain wants to grow, right?
It's wired for intrinsic motivation. That whole system, curiosity, mastery drive, it lights up best when external interference, external control is minimal.
So when you step back, stop managing, stop fixing, you're actually giving their inner CEO, their prefrontal cortex, the space and the reason to step up and take charge of becoming self-sufficient.
You're handing the job back to its rightful owner.
And this capability, this experience of I tried and I figured it out, that directly fuels the confidence loop, doesn't it?
It is the confidence loop. Confidence isn't some fuzzy feeling you get from someone telling you you're great. That's external validation.
Real confidence is neurological. It's a feedback cycle. Explain the loop.
Simple. Action leads to evidence, which builds belief, which then fuels more action.
Okay, action, evidence, belief, action.
Right. But if you, the parent, constantly intervene and prevent the action,
Like doing their science project for them or calling the other parent to smooth over a conflict.
then the evidence they gather isn't about their own capability. If they get an A because you basically rewrote the essay, the evidence supports your competence, not theirs.
And they know it deep down. It creates this hollow feeling, needing constant external praise because they don't have internal proof.
We risk raising validation addicts, performing for applause rather than learning from life's feedback loop. True, authentic confidence has competence as its backbone.
And competence is built through.
Messy, unpolished, sometimes failed, independent action, one attempt at a time.
Which brings us to maybe the final, most advanced stage of this whole approach, mastering the DETACH model fully.
Yes, advanced DETACH, which often looks like strategic inaction.
Strategic in action. For the high achiever, the doer, the fixer, restraint might be the single hardest parenting skill.
It often is, which is why we sometimes talk about couch parenting.
Couch parenting, that sounds lazy, like
So-
checking out.
It can look like that from the outside, but the couch isn't laziness. It's a strategic command center.
Okay, unpack that. How is sitting on the couch strategic?
When you consciously choose to sit, to observe, to resist the powerful visceral pull to jump in and do, you are choosing stillness.
And my stillness creates space.
Your stillness becomes their necessary space to stretch, to stumble, maybe to fall, and crucially, to get back up themselves. You are actively overriding ancient parental wiring with conscious, strategic intent.
So the process is recognize the urge. Whoa, I feel that pull to fix this forgotten lunch. Name it. Okay, that's my anxiety about them being hungry or embarrassed. Reality check, is this actually dangerous or just uncomfortable for them and for me?
Precisely. And then you choose the strategy. You choose restraint. You ask the strategic question. What does their long-term development need right now?
And often the answer is not my immediate rescue.
More often than you think. Doing nothing in that strategic sense is not neglect. It is the strategy. It is love at play.
It's the conscious choice to allow their temporary discomfort so their brain gets the unequivocal message. I can survive discomfort. I can solve problems.
That's the core of building capable, resilient humans.
Okay, let's wrap this up. We've covered a lot, from neuroscience to strategic inaction. What's the big picture takeaway?
I think we've established that the parent who ultimately finds more peace and raises more capable kids is often the one who stops trying quite so hard, stops trying to control everything.
You're exchanging that exhausting, impossible goal of control for the sustainable power of influence.
Exactly. You exchange perfectionism for presence. You trade chronic anxiety for a grounded sense of authority.
And the real payoff, the true ROI of doing this hard internal work, it's not just about having a calmer house tomorrow, is it?
No, it's generational. This is about liberation for you, breaking those old cycles of martyrdom or anxiety. And it's about building genuine capability and resilience in them. That's the legacy.
Your kids aren't going to remember the perfectly packed organic lunches every single day, or the spotless kitchen, or all the errands you ran while secretly fuming.
Not in the long run. What they will remember, what embeds itself deeply, is the feeling of emotional safety.
They'll remember how safe and trusted they felt, how you managed to stay regulated, stay present, especially when they were struggling the most.
Presence lasts. Perfection is fleeting and exhausting.
So if there are only two things people remember from this deep dive,
Let it be the memory paradox, which is really about the peak-end rule in psychology applied to parenting memory.
peak end rule, meaning we tend to remember the most intense part of an experience, the peak, and how it ended.
Exactly. Your kids won't average out all the thousands of mundane interactions. They will disproportionately remember the quality of the feeling during the most intense moments, the big fight, the major disappointment, the scary situation, and, crucially, how those moments ended.
Did I escalate with them into red zone chaos? Or did I manage to pause, maybe lower my voice, offer my grounded green zone presence, even if I couldn't fix the problem itself?
You're judged, neurologically speaking, not by the everyday routine, but by how you handle those few, intensely emotional peaks and how you guide the ending.
That puts a lot of weight on those tough
It
moments.
does, but it also gives you incredible leverage. You don't have to be perfect all the time. You just have to show up strategically when it matters most.
So the final challenge for everyone listening, the strategic move to make today.
It's this. What would fundamentally change in your house, maybe even just today, if you consciously claimed your role as head regulator? If you chose just one moment where you feel that pull to fix or control?
And instead, you pause, you breathe, you consciously choose to trust their capacity, even just a tiny bit more than yesterday.
Instead of defaulting to fixing, you now have the framework. You understand the strategy. You absolutely have the power to create that new, more positive, more empowering ending for those peak moments.
The work starts now, and so does the liberation.